Hey guys, Tyler here, and thanks for checking out this video. And we are full steam ahead on the first season of The War Within. So we had Raid this last week, and we have Mythic Plus headed our way this coming week. So today I have an updated BIS list for your Marksman Hunter for Season 1. And the reason I say it was updated was because it would have already changed from last Tuesday to this coming Tuesday. For example, there's going to be some nerfs to some key trinkets that we would have picked, including the Sack Brood, and so much more. I will have items for every single slot on your character, and then also some different options based on what content that you are going to be completing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Mr. Eggplant presents.
So normally at these type of videos you put the summary last, but I'm going to go ahead and put it first here. That way you guys know what dungeons that you need to be targeting and putting your time in to get the most powerful items as possible on your Marksman Hunter as quickly as possible. And then I will be using the same stat priority that's in my 11.0 Marksman Hunter guide. I hope you guys will check that out, by the way, link in the description. But it's going to be crit, then mastery, then versatility, and finally haste. But I do have a haste little soft cap, if you will, for myself. What I'm aiming to get on my character, which is between 5,000 and 5,200 haste, which is right around 8%. And there are going to be some asterisks too, in fact, next to one item in each of the sections, because that's going to be the item I am aiming for on my hunter. But looking at the stat breakdown, it's going to be 10 items that you can get from Raid. You have 5 that you can get from the Catalyst, which are going to be those tier pieces. From there, we also have 5 that are available from crafting, 3 each from Grim Batol and Siege of Borealis, 2 from the Dawnbreaker, and then for the rest of the dungeons we have 1 each for Stone Vault, Mists of Tyrannosythe, City of Threads, and the Necrotic Wake. So let's start off with the most impactful item possible for your damage, which is going to be your ranged weapon. So you really have 3 options that are going to get the most out of your Marksman Hunter here in the first season. One of those is going to be the Splinter Shot Silk Bow from Raid from the Sikrin boss. We have the Augmented Refractor Cannon from the Stone Vault, and POW ×2, which is the Crafted Engineering Gun. So POW can get all the way up to 636, and you can put that Vivacity embellishment on there, or the Ascension of embellishment if you'd rather just do pure single target in Raid. And then as for the other 2, you basically, if you don't do Mythic Raid, the Splinter Shot Silk Bow will never reach its full potential of 639. It'll only go up to 626 in the heroic track. And then the Augmented Refractor Cannon, the only way it beats that POW ×2 is if you happen to get it from your vault at 639. So I opted to do the guaranteed 636 POW ×2 weapon once I get the crest from Mythic Plus to get that fully upgraded. And next up is going to be Trinkets, and we have one that's what I would consider to be an all-around BIS for both single target for AoE, for Mythic Plus, and for raiding, which is going to be the Skardyn's Grace from the Grim Batol dungeon. And it is an agility trinket, and it has a 2-minute on-use mastery steroid. If you're looking for something to couple with that for Mythic Plus, my suggestion to you would be the Empowered Crystal from the Dawnbreaker dungeon, and it's an agility trinket with a passive secondary stack proc, and it procs quite often, as much as 30% throughout an entire dungeon. If you are looking for something that's going to be pure single target, we have 3 other options to choose from, but I would definitely couple them with Skardyn's Grace, even if it means if you have 2 on-use trinkets. The first one being Mad Queen's Mandate, which is from the Queen Unsarak in the Raid, which is a crit trinket with an on-use execute. You have the Void Reaper's Contract from the Nexus Princess in Raid, which is also an agility trinket with a passive proc. And then finally you have that Deadeye Spyglass, which comes from Siege of Borealis. It's an agility trinket with a passive stacking crit buff. Unfortunately, it is not really great if you do a lot of target swapping. So from this list, if I was going into a single target encounter, I would have Skardyn's Grace and the Mad Queen's Mandate. And if I'm going into Mythic Plus or an AoE encounter, I'm going to go with Skardyn's Grace and the Empowering Crystal. And next up is going to be our tier set. While our tier set isn't amazing as it was in Season 4 of Dragonflight, we still get some really good value, and you want to make sure and get these on your character as quickly as possible. You need to have at least 4, but I will most likely be running with all 5 because the Helm will also give me the haste I need to hit my haste goals of around 5,000. But you do want to pick these up. You want to go with that shoulder piece, the chest piece, the gloves, and the pants. They all have varying stats, but honestly, there's no bad stats on a Marksman Hunter right now. You can get all of these from Raid, you can also get them from your Vault, and then finally you can always use the Catalyst on any item in that slot to get your tier piece. So now that we got the main items out of the way, let's go ahead and go down the list in no particular order, starting with cloaks. So you have 3 really good options, all have great stats that you're looking for on your hunter. One of those will have your embellishment potentially if you want to put it in this spot. That would be the consecrated cloak that you can get crafted with tailoring. You get to pick those stats, and the max it can be is 636. You have the Trog Stitch Drape, which is from Grim Batol, and it's a crit mastery cloak. And then finally, you have the Wings of Shattered Sorrow, which is off of Rashanan, which is one of the raid bosses, and it is a crit haste back piece. But it does have a really nice defensive effect, and because of that, that is going to be the item that I will be aiming for on my hunter if I don't decide to put my embellishment there. Next up is going to be your Helm, and you really have 3 options, and one of those is of course the tier piece, and this is usually considered the tier piece that you won't want to run just because it has a high amount of haste. But if you want a lot of haste in your build, or you want to reach a certain haste threshold like I am, it's a perfect item for you, and that's why I'm actually going with it. But you can go ahead and pick up that Rattling Deadeye Hood, which is from the Necrotic Wake, and it's a crit mastery helm. And then another option, if you want to go ahead and even put a crafted item there, is that Glyph Etched Guise, which comes from leatherworking. You get to pick the stats, and of course the max is 636, and if you even wanted to put your embellishment there, I guess you could do that too. And next up is going to be your bracers, and bracers is another perfect spot to add an embellishment. And if you want to do that, you'll go through a leatherworker like myself. You can pick the stats on that. The max item level can be 636, and the item you're going to want to look for is the Glyph Etched Vambraces. That's what I'm going to be going personally with. But another couple options will be the Penumbral Rime Guards from the City of Threads, which is a crit mastery bracer, and then also Kaiveza's Covert Clasps, which is from the Nexus Princess herself, from Raid, and it's haste and crit. And now on to belts, and there's one in particular that has a fun effect, and that's going to be the Anchor Chain Girdle from the Siege of Borealis, which is a haste over crit belt, and it does have a special effect that it helps you with knockbacks, and there's quite a few of those here in the first season. I will be trying to get that one as quickly as possible, but there are some other great options. Those include the Glyph Etched Binding, which is crafted from leatherworking, and this is also an option where you can put your embellishment here. You can pick the stats on that which you want to do crit and mastery. The max item level can be 636, and then the other option is the Accelerated Ascension Coil from Brood Twister Ovinax in Raid, and that is a crit verse belt. So rings are next up, and jewelry just in general is a great way to get a big boost of secondary stats since they don't have a main stat. So you may be using one that is not on this list, and that's totally fine. But one of those rings that will be BIS but hard to come by since it's a very rare drop from Queen Ansurek herself, which is going to be the Seal of the Poisoned Pack. And on the beta, this did about like 0.75% of damage, so 0.75% of my overall damage, but it's a very heavy crit over mastery ring with that special poison effect. And then you have the Seal of the City Watch, which is from the Siege of Borealis, which is a heavy mastery over crit ring. And then you have a couple of other options, one of those from Raid being the Writhing Ringworm. I just realized I spelled that wrong, but it's from Brood Twister Ovinax, which is a mastery over haste ring, or the Devout Zealot's Ring from the Dawnbreaker, which is a heavy crit over haste ring, and this is a really good ring if you want to add a little bit of extra haste to your build. And keeping with a theme of jewelry, let's go ahead and take a look at our neck piece. And there's really only two good options. One of them is heavy crit and the other is heavy mastery. And the first one, and the one that I'm going to be going after, is from that Rashanan raid fight, which is the Locket of Broken Memories. And this is a heavy crit over Haste neck piece. And then we have the Trail Spinner pendant. And honestly, it's kind of nice to see this back, but it's the only item that's really worth anything for us from the Mists of Tyrna Scythe, and it is a mastery over crit neck piece. And last but certainly not least is going to be our boots. And there are two really good options, but there are others, and that also does include a crafted item as well through leatherworking. But you have two good options, which is going to be the red scale boots, which is what I'm personally going to go for, because I could get these up to 639 from my vault, which is from Grim Batol, and it's a crit haste pair of boots. And then the other option, and you're seeing a lot from Rashanan, which is the Rashanan's Grotesque Talons from the aforementioned raid boss, and they is a crit over haste pair of boots. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I hope you guys will consider subscribing to me here on YouTube or follow me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/MrEggplant. Keep in mind, item level is still going to be one of the most important things for you on your hunter. So even if I don't have an item on the list, if it's a bigger item level upgrade, it's probably going to be better. This is just going to be the min-max items, looking at all of the different stats and figuring out how I want to build my hunter. And then also do keep in mind as well that raid, if you're only doing heroic raid, everything's going to cap out at 626, where things from Mythic Plus in your vault, for example, or from Mythic raid will potentially go up to 639, and crafted items can go up to 636, assuming you can at least do a couple of 9s every week to get those Mythic crest pieces. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I presented this information a little bit different than I had in the past. So please leave me your feedback down below. Let me know what you guys think of this video and this presentation style. But thank you guys for watching. Best of luck in your vault, and best of luck in your vault each and every week. I hope you guys get all of the items that you're looking for, and you make all of the progress in the world. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.